You think betrayal is the hardest part? But no. The hardest part is lying next to her, holding her, kissing her, while deep down, you wonder if she just gave herself to another man. And here's the truth most men don't want to hear. Women don't confess betrayal with words. They confess with patterns, with habits, with a silence that feels louder than a scream. Today I'll share with you 8 signs that reveal when a woman has just slept with someone else. Ignore them, and you risk becoming a quiet accomplice in your own humiliation. The last one, number 8, is the one she can never ever hide. So let's begin. Sign 1, her energy doesn't match her excuses. When you've been with a woman long enough, you know her rhythm. Even when she's tired, her body carries a certain spark. Her eyes soften when she sees you. Her voice carries warmth. Her touch feels alive, even if it's subtle, even if it's quiet. That's what intimacy does. It keeps energy flowing between two people like an invisible current. But when she's given herself to someone else, that current shifts. She comes back to you strangely flat, strangely neutral. It's not just tiredness. It's a silence in her energy that feels heavier than exhaustion. She'll tell you, I'm stressed, I'm just exhausted, I've had a long day. And on the surface, those words sound logical. But here's the problem. Her energy doesn't match her excuses. Stress and fatigue still allow connection. A woman who is truly tired will still melt into your arms, still find comfort in your presence, still allow closeness even in her weakness. But a woman who has already been fulfilled elsewhere returns without hunger. She doesn't reach for you because her appetite has already been fed. Here's the psychology. Intimacy is not just physical, it's energetic. When attraction and desire are redirected, they don't disappear. They simply change their address. And you feel it, whether you want to admit it or not. That's why so many men lie to themselves. They tell their hearts, she's just going through a phase. Maybe she needs space. Maybe she's stressed. But deep down, they already sense the truth. It's like trying to light a fire that is already burned out. No matter how many matches you strike, the wood stays cold. That's what it feels like when her body has already given itself away. And here's the hard advice. Don't beg, don't force, don't try to convince yourself otherwise. Observe. If her energy has truly shifted away from you, no amount of effort will bring it back. Because once a flame has found another source of fuel, it rarely returns to the ashes it left behind. Sign 2, the sudden obsession with being fresh. One of the cruelest truths about betrayal is this. Guilt doesn't always look messy. Sometimes it looks too clean. When a woman has just been with someone else, she doesn't walk into your home carrying the obvious scent of betrayal. She doesn't show up disheveled or marked. No, she walks in smelling brand new. Too new. A longer shower than usual. Clothes swapped for no reason. Underwear changed, though the rest of the outfit stays the same. A sudden interest in a new perfume. An unusual obsession with laundry. On the surface, it looks harmless. Like self-care. Like routine hygiene. Like she's just trying something different. But in psychology, we call this the cleansing ritual. Here's what's really happening. She isn't just washing her skin. She's trying to wash her conscience. The scent of betrayal isn't physical. It's psychological. And the longer she scrubs, the more obvious her guilt becomes. Most men miss this sign because they want to miss it. They tell themselves, she just wants to feel fresh. She's being extra clean for me. Maybe she's experimenting with new habits. That's how you gaslight yourself into blindness. Because deep down, you feel the shift. And here's the harsh truth. People don't change rituals overnight unless something or someone has triggered it. In psychology, consistency is everything. If she never rushed to shower after work before, but suddenly it becomes urgent, you pay attention. If her fragrance changes out of nowhere, you pay attention. If she swaps underwear midday without explanation, you pay attention. Because guilt leaks through behavior. And the erasing ritual is not random. It's a pattern. A woman who comes back to you smelling too perfect isn't just refreshing herself. She's cleansing herself of another man's presence. Don't ignore it. Don't laugh it off. And most importantly, don't explain it away. Because the truth is, when intimacy is genuine, cleanliness is natural. But when intimacy has been shared with someone else, Cleanliness becomes a disguise. Sign 3, picking fights for no reason. When guilt gets too heavy for a woman to carry, she doesn't confess it. She transfers it. She can't look in the mirror and admit the betrayal, so she paints you as the problem. Suddenly, the smallest things set her off. The way you load the dishwasher, the way you breathe too loud, the way you didn't text good morning at the exact right time. Things that never mattered before now become weapons. This isn't about you being wrong. It's about her needing you to be the villain. Because if she can make you the problem, she doesn't have to feel like the betrayer. Psychologists call this projection. It's a defense mechanism. She takes the conflict burning inside her and pushes it outward, onto you. It's her way of saying, if I can make him feel guilty, I don't have to face my own guilt. Most men fall right into the trap. They argue back. They defend themselves. They start begging, explaining, apologizing for things they never even did. And in that moment, the power flips. She becomes the judge. You become the criminal. And her betrayal stays hidden behind the smokescreen of conflict. But here's the truth. You can't out-logic guilt. The more you defend yourself, the more ammunition you give her. Every argument you engage in only feeds the role she's cast you in, the bad guy. So what's the move? Strength looks different here. Strength is refusing to play the role. The next time she snaps at you over something absurd, don't beg, don't debate, don't even raise your voice. Instead, look her in the eye and calmly say, you don't need to fight to justify what you've already decided. Then step back, not out of weakness, but out of dignity. Because when you refuse to play defense, her script collapses. And when the script collapses, the truth has nowhere left to hide. Sign 4. Her affection feels scripted. Not every betrayal looks cold. Sometimes it looks warm, too warm. A woman who has crossed a line with someone else often comes back overcompensating. Suddenly, she's hugging you tighter than usual, cooking your favorite meal out of nowhere, whispering, I love you at random times. At first, it feels like hope, like maybe she's falling in love with you again. But here's the cruel twist. It's not love. It's theater. Psychologists call this compensatory behavior. When guilt becomes unbearable, she tries to mask it with exaggerated displays of affection. She isn't giving to you out of desire. She's giving to herself out of shame. Each kiss, each sweet word, each gesture isn't a bridge back to you. It's a bandage on her conscience. And here's how you know the difference. Consistency. Real affection is steady. Genuine love doesn't need a performance. It's quiet, reliable, lived in. But guilty affection comes in waves. Intense bursts of sweetness after unexplained absences. Sudden romantic gestures after long stretches of coldness. Passionate kisses that feel more like apologies than desire. The danger is that most men confuse this guilty theater for reconciliation. They tell themselves, she's trying. She really does love me. Maybe things are back to normal, but in reality, it's a temporary mask. And once her conscience eases, the affection fades just as suddenly as it arrived. Here's the harsh truth. If her love feels staged, it probably is. If her affection feels like a performance, it's not for you. It's for her guilt. So don't reward it. Don't mistake it for healing. Don't let yourself get fooled by guilty hugs dressed up as intimacy. Because love doesn't need an audience. And when affection feels like theater, you already know the truth. You're not her leading man anymore. Sign 5, emotional absence in intimacy. There's a difference between a body lying next to you and a soul being with you. And once you feel that difference, you can't unfeel it. She may still give you her body. She may still kiss you, still go through the motions, still lie in your arms at night. But something vital is missing. Her eyes don't carry the same warmth. Her touch feels mechanical. Her laughter doesn't reach her spirit. She's there in form, but gone in essence. This is what psychologists call emotional disengagement. It happens when someone checks out internally but continues to show up externally. On the surface, it looks normal. In reality, it's hollow. Most men refuse to face this. They tell themselves, she's just stressed. She's tired. It's just a phase. But here's the truth. Stress still allows connection. Fatigue still allows presence. Even during life's toughest seasons, when love is real, There's still intimacy in the eyes, still closeness in the silence. What you're feeling isn't routine fatigue. It's the vacuum of her soul being invested elsewhere. The tragedy is that many men try to fix this void by doing more. More affection, more patience, more effort. They think if they love harder, they can bring her back. But the more you push, the more she drifts, because the fire isn't missing. It's burning, just not for you anymore. And this is where dignity must step in. You cannot beg for intimacy. You cannot force connection. Because lying next to a woman whose heart belongs elsewhere isn't love, it's humiliation. The most masculine thing you can do is notice the void, honor your instincts, and stop pouring your energy into someone who has already given her spirit to another flame. Sign 6. Time becomes your enemy. When a woman truly desires you, time bends in your favor. No matter how busy her schedule, no matter how chaotic her day, she finds a way back to you. Desire creates gravity. It pulls her toward you, even when the world demands her attention elsewhere. But when she's given herself to another man, the gravity changes. Suddenly, the hours don't stretch to include you. They shrink to exclude you. She's late, again and again. The excuses start to pile up. Work ran late. My phone died. A friend needed me. At first, you believe it because you want to believe it, but after a while, you notice a pattern. Lateness has become routine. And here's the harsh reality. Lateness is never just about time. It's about priority. Psychologists know this as avoidance behavior. When someone's heart shifts, they unconsciously reduce the time they spend with the old bond while increasing the time they spend with the new one. It's not random. It's reallocation. Every hour she spends away from you isn't lost. It's invested somewhere else. And here's where most men fail. They tolerate it. They accept the weak excuses. They train themselves to believe that being second place is normal. But every time you let it slide, you send a message. My time is negotiable. My presence is optional. My respect has no boundaries. Don't make that mistake, because here's the truth. A woman who chooses you will always come home. Not sometimes. Not when it's convenient. Always. So when her absence becomes predictable, when her lateness becomes routine, don't waste your energy dissecting every excuse. Watch the pattern. Patterns don't lie. Words lie. Excuses lie. But behavior tells the truth. And the truth is this. If she's not rushing back to you, it's because she's already somewhere she wants to be. Sign 7. The collapse of her story. Every betrayal comes with a story. At first it sounds polished, practiced, believable. The timeline makes sense. The excuses are smooth. The tone is calm. She's rehearsed it in her mind before she ever spoke it out loud. And for a moment you almost convince yourself it's true. But lies don't age well. They rot. And when you look closely, you begin to notice the cracks. The details start shifting. The timelines no longer match. What she said last week doesn't line up with what she says today. Her story bends under the weight of questions, even small ones. And when you push just a little, her confidence falters. She gets defensive, irritated, or overly dramatic. Psychologists call this cognitive load, the mental strain of keeping a lie alive. The truth requires no effort. Lies demand energy. Every extra detail is another plate she has to keep spinning in the air. And eventually one of them crashes. But here's the most telling sign of all. Her eyes. She avoids your gaze. They flicker, dart, look past you instead of into you. Because the eyes are connected directly to the limbic brain, the part of us that reacts before we can control it. No matter how smooth her words sound, her eyes betray what her mouth tries to cover. And this is where many men stumble. They wait for a smoking gun, a text message, a photo, some undeniable proof to give them permission to believe what they already feel. But you don't need receipts to recognize a collapse. You only need awareness. Because when her story breaks down under its own weight, you're not supposed to interrogate. You're supposed to decide. And the decision isn't about whether she's guilty. It's about whether your dignity is negotiable. Sign 8. Her eyes betray her. You can erase texts. You can delete call logs. You can hide clothes, change stories, perfect excuses. But there is one thing no woman can ever fully disguise: her eyes. Because the eyes are the last frontier of truth. They don't just look, they reveal. When a woman has been with you in love, her gaze locks onto yours without fear. It's steady, warm, open. You feel connection, even in silence. But when betrayal has entered the picture, something shifts. She avoids your eyes, or if she meets them, it's only for a flicker. Too quick, too nervous, too broken. Her gaze doesn't rest on you anymore, because to look at you is to face the very man she's betrayed. Psychologists call this limbic leakage. When the body unconsciously leaks emotions the mind is desperate to hide. A practiced liar can control words, tone, even body language. But the eyes? The eyes are wired straight into the survival brain. They dart, they flicker, they betray what the tongue tries to polish. And this is why so many men already know the truth long before they admit it. Because deep down, they've seen it in her eyes. They just weren't ready to believe it. You don't need a screenshot. You don't need a witness. You don't need to go through her phone like a detective begging for evidence. The evidence is right there, staring back at you, or refusing to. And here's the harshest truth of all. If she can no longer look at you with the same softness, the same warmth, the same truth in her eyes, it's because those eyes have already looked at someone else in that way. So don't ignore it. Don't explain it away. Because while everything else in her life can be rehearsed, performed, or staged, her eyes will always tell the story she's trying hardest to bury. Now you've heard the 8 signs, and if you've been paying attention, you probably felt one of them hit too close to home. But the real question isn't, did she betray me? The real question is, will I betray myself by ignoring what I already know? Because self-betrayal is the deepest wound. Not what she did behind your back, but what you allowed yourself to tolerate in plain sight. Here's the truth most men never accept. Not every sign guarantees betrayal. Sometimes stress, fatigue, or poor communication can mimic them. But when you see the patterns pile up, when your instincts scream louder than her excuses, you already have your answer. And at that point, the decision is yours. If there's room to repair, you repair. But if every sign points in the same direction, the most masculine choice you can make is to walk away with your dignity intact. Because love without respect is slavery. And a man who sacrifices his self-respect for her lies doesn't save the relationship. He buries himself in it. So here's my challenge to you. Think back to a moment where your gut told you the truth, but you ignored it. Maybe it was her sudden coldness. Maybe it was the endless excuses. Maybe it was the way her eyes just couldn't meet yours anymore. Don't dismiss it this time. Don't bury your instincts under excuses. Face it. Decide. Because your clarity, your strength, and your freedom are worth more than holding on to a lie. And before you go, do one thing for me. Hit subscribe, tap like, and share this video with a brother who still can't see the signs right in front of him. In the comments, share your story, because your truth might be the wake-up call that saves another man from humiliation. This isn't the end of your story. This is the beginning of reclaiming your respect, your clarity, and your freedom to love without losing yourself.